when I started using coke for a little bit. And then that went into meth.
Because you start realizing that, like, why am I spending money on this coke when my real love is meth and it's cheaper?
Yeah, and it was like way different high. I loved it way better. But
Yeah.
so yeah, then I started using that again. And my daughter's dad was not like that. He hated it. I kicked him out because I was
He
like,
wasn't supporting your drug habit.
yeah, I was like, I love meth. I'm done with you. Bye. And so, and then we were co-parenting a lot, and I saw Lily less and less and less, you know. Oh, and then it just goes really crazy from here. So
We got time.
yeah.
Welcome to the show, Sarah.
Thank you. Thanks for having me.
I am so glad we finally got able to do this. I know how busy you've been lately. With you have Inked magazine and you're killing it lately. What's this next group that you're in now?
So I am in the Inked CoverGirl magazine contest, and I'm actually going in. I can go into semifinals. So we're in a group right now of 16 women, and you have to be in first to go to semifinals. And then there's only 2 more rounds left, and I'm freaking out. It's
That's
exciting.
awesome. That is
Yeah.
awesome. Yeah. So yeah, because it's once a year. I remember I've seen other friends do it, but I think I haven't seen anybody that I've like been friends with on Facebook get as far as you've gotten so far. So I'll
Yeah.
make sure if you're watching or listening, you can vote for her. We're gonna put it out right away just because of she's doing it right now. There's only certain time sensitive of
Thank you
getting
so
the
much.
votes in. So go in the description to click on the link to go vote for Sarah for that. Now let's get into the other stuff that we're talking about. What is your sober date, Miss Sarah?
So my sober date is 8/28/2014. I actually have it tattooed on my arm here with the syringe because mine was meth and needles.
Okay,
So
I like that. So 8/28/14. So you are coming up on 8 years. You got 7.5 roughly.
yeah.
That's incredible and not an easy feat.
No.
You already told me you have 6 kids, so that's like you keep yourself busy with being sober in the last 7.5 years. What was going on for you back in August of 2014? Let's start there.
Yeah, so I was to the point in my addiction where I was homeless. I had lost custody of my daughter. I was literally living in park benches, sleeping on park benches, vacant vans, in and out of jail. How many raids I had been in, like just really bad stuff. I mean, this is gonna get like deep, you guys, and so it's pretty. My story is pretty crazy, but involved in things like rapes and just being sold for drugs, and I got to the point where I was
Yeah,
carrying.
and we're gonna rewind too. We're gonna rewind more. I'm just curious about before you went in, and then we'll rewind
Yeah.
back.
Okay. Yeah.
Yeah.
This day I was walking around with a bloody coagulated needle, and I couldn't even shoot up, right? Because my veins were all messed up, and I got down on the street and I prayed, and I was like, I just want to die. I can't. Is this even? Why do I even need to be here? Show me a sign, God. And I walked into a trap house, and 20 minutes later, the drug task force knocked in the doors, and like I just felt different. Like I felt ready. I had been in how many raids? I felt ready. I was bawling. They were like, why are you crying? Like, are you high? I'm like, yeah, I'm high, but I prayed for you guys. Like, seriously, like they knew me by my name. They're like, Anselm, when are you going to get different friends? Like, this isn't who you should be. This isn't you. And I got handcuffed, and I was like so excited getting in the cop car, and I went to jail. I served the most time I had ever served, and got, cleaned out, and went to treatment after that.
Where are you from?
So I'm in Minnesota.
Okay, so you're in Minnesota when this is going on. So that's why they definitely like. Are you like in the city of Minnesota? Or are you like in one of those like okay? So I feel like in those cities like there's sections and like the people work those sections, so they see you often when you're an addict, and they know who the addicts are. They probably arrested you before,
Mhm.
like they might even know your family by now,
Yeah.
like that kind of deal. Like, are you born and raised Minnesota?
No, I actually was born in Germany.
Oh shit. Okay.
Yeah, and my mom was in the military. So,
That makes sense.
Yeah.
I have a sister. I call her a sister. She lived with us for a year when I was in third grade, and she was an exchange student, and she was from Osnabrück, Germany, and now she lives in Berlin. And we have visited. We were out there in Berlin in 2016 visiting, and it's such a cool city. Like I loved it out there.
Oh, yeah.
Um, so you were born in Berlin. When did you come over here, and was it always to Minnesota?
So, yep. So when I was like about 3 years old, I wasn't there long. I came to my grandparents in Minnesota, and I've been here ever since.
Okay,
So
yeah, I even heard even just the way you said Minnesota, it just like there's like this certain like little like
it's
that, and then the obvious is the oop or ope. Is that what it is? Ope.
oop, yep,
Yeah.
oh, don't, oh, sure, yeah, you betcha.
Yeah, I went to rehab with a guy from Minnesota,
Oh,
so and we both related because we would both drive about an hour to get our drugs. And like my last 3 years of addiction looked like me driving in Amish country in PA to South Jersey 4 times a week, an hour and a half each way,
oh my
just to
God.
buy pills and turn around and drive back again. And I was in rehab with this kid. I call him a kid because he was like 20 years old. We called him Baby Jake. You know what I mean? Like that was like his name in rehab. And he's like, "Oh yeah, man, in Minnesota, I used to drive in the snow like 2 hours, and I would just be stuck like in some places, like all
Yep.
this shit." I'm like, all right, I don't feel alone. I'm not the only crazy asshole out there. Uh, and he still, well, watches well, we still talk all the time. So he's doing good. It's nice to like see people from rehab still doing good years later.
Yeah.
Um, Now, when you went to treatment, I bounce all around and I apologize, but when you went to treatment, was that your first time going to treatment?
Yep. First time.
First timers club right here, both of us. First
Woo!
time, only time.
That's hard. Like that's hard. So good job, man.
Well, I think the difference is that if you go to treatment for your first time and you want to go to treatment,
Yep.
you're going there with like, hell yeah, I'm going to treatment.
Yep.
And when you go there like that, you take that kind of mentality. You're more open to learn. You're more receptive of the information. You're more broken and ready to hear and take in this information you learn in IOP. If I'm going there because my parents made me go, or my wife or whatever made me go, or the court system made me go, I wouldn't be learning shit. It would be like be going through school all over again. I'm there just to get the grade, get a C, and get the hell out of here.
Yeah, you got
Like,
that right. Yep.
and it's a C. Give me the C, and this way I don't get in trouble and get the hell out of here, and then move on. So you're growing up in Minnesota. You said with your grandparents. Did you grow up with your grandparents, or was that only temporarily?
Just a little bit. Yeah.
Okay. And when did you discover drugs and alcohol?
So about when I was 14 years old, I was living with my mom, and I liked this boy that, he smoked weed, whatever. So we,
Are you my age? Sorry, I have to. I'm always curious now when I ask people. So, how old?
32.
30. Okay, I'm 35. Close enough. Okay, so
Yeah.
you'll understand the references that I make if I need to make them. Okay,
Yeah.
good. All
Yeah.
right, so you're
So,
14 years old.
yep. And we smoked pot, whatever, drank some alcohol, started partying. And then my mom found my pipe when I was 14 stashed under my bed, and she was so pissed. And she was so pissed because she's a recovering addict, and she just didn't want me to go down her path, right?
Yeah,
So
yeah.
she kicked me out, and I went to live with my dad, and then that's where I really went into shrooms and meth.
Was it because you were in a different location, like because like you moved to a different city now, and more things were available? Like, what was it that you graduated so quickly? Because like, you know, was it? Go ahead.
Yep. So to be honest, my dad was a meth addict, was and is a meth addict. I mean, I don't talk to him much, so he does better, but he still dabbles in it. And so his friends were young, dealing and stuff and being into that. His friends were younger but older than me, and I was just like this, like, ooh, male attention. They're smoking this pipe, and one handed it to me one day, and I was always around it because of my dad and his friends. So yeah, that's how it started. It just really escalated.
Were your parents young parents having you also?
Yeah, yep, they were young. But
Given that,
my
given
whole
that she was in the military.
yeah, but after that, my mom, meeting my dad, they just didn't do well together, and they both got addicted, and it just was a bad childhood.
That makes sense, though. I mean, if you moved in with your mom's in recovery, so she doesn't want you around it. But unfortunately, I think it's almost like that hindsight is 2020. It's like, oh yeah, why would I don't want her to do drugs, but I sent her with somebody who was actively using drugs. Of course she was going to use drugs there. Like hindsight's always going to be 2020,
Yeah,
when it comes to that kind of thing. And that as a parent now, we don't know what we're like. I know as a parent now, I'm like, oh my God, my parents really, I don't know how I'm alive today. Like, because
right.
my parents didn't have any information at their disposal on what to do with me because I got into things, at 11, as early as 11, 12, so like I was already getting in trouble. So, yeah. Anyway, now you're with dad. Are you going to school but still getting high? Like, just like this a thing at home that you do that?
Yeah, yep. So, well, my dad worked a lot too, but I didn't know if he was working or not. Like, you know what I mean? I just want to say this. He was a great dad. He was a great dad. He was like my friend. I know that's not always the best thing. He made sure I had food and everything like that. So I want to say that. But he was gone a lot, and so we'd have parties and just like stay up for 4 days and then drink Red Bull and go to ninth grade. Like, oh my gosh, sitting in Spanish class, just eyes red and bloodshot, and the teachers just like totally knowing what was up. So yeah.
Yeah, I mean, I think that they knew, but they didn't know at the same. It was almost like the parents in denial, the kind of thing with the teachers, because like
Yeah.
I was high as fuck in my first period every single day, especially my senior year, and it was because we would get drunk the night before, and we would be so hungover we would need to take a bunch of pills in the morning and get high before school, and
Mhm.
we would just be in the back of. There would be the last row of us in the back of the classroom, and it was like what was current events was our class my senior year that I can specifically remember, where our teacher just would look at us walking in every day, just eyes shot to shit, like
Yeah.
walking in like we're a bunch of alcoholics.
Uh,
Oh God, I don't know. You know how old are your kids?
so we have a blended family, so some are his and some are mine, but our oldest is 24, and then 18, 13, 12, 5, and 2.
Okay, that
Yeah.
is quite the age range.
Yeah, it's wild, right?
24 to 2.
Yeah.
The 2-year-old could have been the 24.
Uh-huh. I
That's
know.
That's awesome, though. That is so cool. I mean, if you're gonna have a blended, you might as well have a really wild like that with a bunch of different, keep you busy for a long time.
Yep.
Okay, so now you're a teenager. You're in Minnesota. You're actively drinking easily, and actively. And it's meth was the big drug around there, around your area.
Yeah, meth and mushrooms were what I really got into. I mean, and drinking, of course, but meth was my love, like sickly. That was my obsession.
That was me with 30s, with perk 30s. I get it. It was like I remember specifically thinking like this is all I want every single day. Like I barely drank for the last decade of my addiction. I only ever
Yeah,
drank for
you.
yeah. I think the last 10 years, I only ever drank to keep up appearances. I would drink at family parties so that they would think that I'm drunk and not high.
Mm.
So I would sip on a drink, be like, oh, this is number 8, when really it's like number 2. But really, I'm in the bathroom snorting 30s. You know what I mean?
Yep.
So, like, I would drink to keep up appearances, but I wouldn't drink alone like I used to. Now I just do pills alone. So when does it become like, do you ever at any point go, oh shit, Sarah, I have a problem. Like, I'm doing this way too much. This is not good.
So honestly, after I lived with my dad, some bad stuff had happened to me. With one of his friends had raped me, like totally drugged me and raped me, and that wasn't long after I lived there, and so just right away, I think I just numbed myself all the time, and I had a problem right away, like
You were like
right,
15 then?
yeah, just always fucked up.
but did you know that, okay, Sarah, I shouldn't be doing this, but most people haven't been through what I've been through, and I deserve this, and I need this because to deal with what I have to deal with in my head?
I honestly, I don't think I felt like that at first. I don't
But
think I felt,
at first, you eventually did say that
yeah,
to yourself, though?
yeah,
Okay,
definitely.
because I feel like a lot of us do give us ourselves. It's so funny because we punish ourselves so much, but we also give empathy to ourselves too.
Yeah,
Whether we realize it or not, or whether we want to think of it as giving ourselves empathy, but we do. It's like, no, I do deserve to get high today because of what happened up here.
yep,
Like, you didn't have to live up here today like I did, and it was awful.
yeah, that's a
Like,
good point. Yeah,
and I don't even, I'm not trying to justify it, and I don't think we were trying to justify it then. I
no,
think that literally, like, most of us wanted to die
mm-hmm,
that day. And the fact that we didn't kill ourselves that day meant we should be able to get high because you don't know what it was like up here.
yeah,
Um, it gets dangerous. And like you just said it, like you were 15 and already thinking that way.
yeah.
And not even like probably even processing it that way, but subconsciously, I'm sure. When is it that you're like, all right, I'm not going to live with my dad either, and I'm just going to do this anyway?
So like when I left his house, you mean, kind of
Yeah.
thing is. So okay, so this is what happened. When I turned about 16 years old, I was almost sick of smoking meth, getting high, staying up for weeks. I would literally stay up for like a week to 2 weeks at that young. But I moved back in with my mom. Like I straightened out for 2 years, and then I met a guy in my senior year, and I
You
said,
got to
"Mom,
stop meeting dudes. 14, I met a boy. 16, I met a guy. You got to just stop meeting people.
telling you, oh my gosh, I could write a book and name the chapters their names. Like that's a great idea. I think I'm gonna
And
do that.
name the book, I met a guy.
Oh my god, that's brilliant. But anyway, so I met my daughter's dad, and
Okay.
I'm like, we're gonna leave. We're gonna go to Washington State. You can't tell me what to do. And I went with him, Washington State. So I'm about 17, 18. I don't remember. I think I just turned 18 because I just had graduated, and then we got pregnant, and I came back to Minnesota. So then
So
that,
you're like, I'm out of here. I don't need you. Hey,
yeah.
I'm back because I'm gonna have a kid, and I really am going. You want to be a grandparent, right? I really need you.
So we didn't really talk much because she was mad at me, I think, you know. So I went back and I got my own place. We talked a little bit, but not really. Me and my daughter's dad, we got our own place, and it wasn't long. I think Lily was 1 years old, my daughter.
This podcast is also sponsored by BetterHelp. If you are looking for therapy and not able to get something right away locally, you can do that with them. Within 48 hours, you can find a therapist to get on telehealth with you. I mean, I haven't heard anything but great things from people that have already done it, that watch my show or listen to my show. If you're looking to get 10% off your first month, you can go to betterhelp.com/MJSPNPMCA. That is betterhelp.com/MJSPNPMCA.
Started using coke for a little bit, and then that went into meth.
Because you start realizing that, like, why am I spending money on this Coke when my real love is meth and it's cheaper?
Yeah, and it was like way different high. I loved it way better, but
Yeah.
um so yeah, then I started using that again. And my daughter's dad was not like that. He hated it. I kicked him out because I was
He
like,
wasn't supporting your drug habit.
I was like, I love meth. I'm done with you. Bye. And then we were co-parenting a lot, and I saw Lily less and less and less, you know. Um, oh, and then it just goes really crazy from here. So
We got time.
yeah, yeah, of course. But I mean, I almost can't. I went to college for a little bit, but then I didn't stay because I was just high all the time and messed up. I'm trying to think. I got evicted from my house. I couldn't keep a job anymore, and then this is when I moved to like the city that totally, I say like totally messed me up.
So you were like, you had your kid, you had your daughter, you were 19. And by the time you had her, you kicked your ex out, your baby, your daughter's dad out. But you guys were going to co-parent. While you're co-parenting, I'm just trying to catch myself up.
Please do that.
Yeah.
Yes.
So while you're co-parenting, you also you get evicted from your house that you had, and you're like, I'm gonna go to this other city in Minnesota now, and then you go to this city, and it's like a fucking plane going down.
Yeah. Yep. Well, I go to this other city and I get a job at a bar and I meet another guy and he lets me move in with him because I don't know.
This episode's going to be called The One When Sarah Met a Guy.
I love it. So I met another guy and I was still like taking care of myself. I'm looking good. You can't tell I'm an addict if you just first meet me, right? I got this energy, but that's the meth, like, yeah.
Yeah.
So I meet this guy and
was your hair green then too?
No, this is a new thing. It was always long brown. So
okay, I wasn't sure. Okay,
so. Yeah, so long brown hair. And he lets me move it in with him like right away. And so then I had like a stable place. Lily could come, and he was like a really cool boyfriend and daddy to my daughter. But then the neighbors exactly right across the street, I could see their lights on at 4 a.m. And like this is when I found this guy, right, that I moved in with, and so I less and less on the meth and like more and more on the love, right? Because it was like, I don't know.
No, I know what you mean. You're addicted. You're
yes.
You're addicted. No, you're addicted to sex and love,
Yep.
where you're codependent, but also you're addicted to drugs, and you need 100% at all times. So whether you're getting 10% from sex and love, or 90% meth, or 30% sex and love and 70% meth, there's 100% that fills that void between.
That's it. And so when I was with him and like I was so excited and I hadn't loved somebody for so long, I didn't do meth as much, right? But then I saw this across the street from our house, the lights on all the time, and I'm like, ooh, I miss this. So this guy was a rapper that I dated, and so when he was gone doing his shows and stuff, I'd go over there, and I got so hooked back into meth and smoking and some good, like crazy good shit. Like
I would be funny. We're like fucking Garfield to lasagna when it comes to like I swear to God, like I did the same thing. I moved to Massachusetts I moved 30 times in like 15 years to avoid drugs. I kept moving for myself. I kept going, whatever. And the one time I was in Massachusetts, middle of nowhere, and I didn't even know anybody but my roommate. And it was like, we had apartments under us and next to us, whatever. But then I noticed that our neighbor had the same car visit him 5 days in a row at the same time every day, like noon every day. I'm like, no one's buying weed every day at the same time. You buy your pills at the same time every day, but no one buys weed every day at the same time. You just don't. I was like, so that person's selling something that's not weed. So I just timed out smoking a cigarette to like have a conversation, showed them that I had a script of 30s, and then we became friends. That's
just like that. And that's what this was. And so then I would be there so high, and 3 days would go by, and I'd come home to my guy, and he'd be like, you've been, what's going on? You've been gone. And I'm like, no, it's only been a day. I'm on tweaker time. I don't know. And so then he's
like, where have you been? You're like, where do you mean? I've only been gone for 72 hours. What do you mean, where have I been? Get off my ass.
And I
Stalker much?
I didn't know I had been gone that long, but it just, it escalated. I was always high. I started losing a lot of weight, and our connection really fizzled out. He didn't even want to look at me anymore. And then I met a boy. Shit, oh my gosh. I met a guy who was so cute to me. And I don't know why, because he lived out of a backpack and he used needles, and he intrigued me. And I would let him come over to my good guy's house. This guy, the rapper, he was so good. He let me live there, even though he hated me and he knew I was using in his house. Anyways, this other guy in the backpack comes over when my rapper guy's gone, and I just loved watching him shoot up. I loved how fucking nuts and just chaos he was, And
No, I get it. I've been an addict. I get it.
yeah,
I get it. It's people don't get it unless they've been a drug addict. You don't get the I can't talk. Sensualization we do, or romanticism that we do. Like, we romanticize the weirdest things. Like, there's a lot of people that send off like weird shit, like dick pics and stuff like that, right? Well, I used to send off unsolicited me sniffing large lines to my
yeah,
friends.
right? Like
Like,
that's
my
so
snap history,
beautiful.
yeah, my Snap history from back then, it's still there too, because you know how Snap is. When you go through and it's like this day 5 years ago, and it's like 4 pills on my desk, and the next thing is me with a giant line in front. The next snap is me going across and doing it, and like these are the snaps that I was sending people.
Yeah, that's
I wasn't just taking them and saving them. I was sending these off to people that were getting high too. Like,
yeah,
almost like, look at me. Like, so, like, it's so weird, but we are in love with them. I literally had a breakup song and a breakup letter that I wrote to pills, because my breakup song distinctly remember was "Slow Dancing in a Burning Room" by John Mayer,
wow, yeah,
because like I felt like that song perfectly encapsulated the way like I loved to do this drug every day, but also how it tore me apart every single day. And it's a toxic relationship that we unknowingly enter, almost like I explained it to somebody in a meeting before. I was running basically like an Al-Anon type of meeting, and I had a woman here who didn't understand why her son for 15 years hasn't stopped shooting dope, and he's 35 years old. And I said, well, have you ever had a boyfriend that your parents didn't like? She said, yeah. And I said, your parents told you all the things they didn't like about him, and all you would say was, you don't know what he's like when we're alone. You don't know the things that he says to me and the comfort he gives me. She's like, yeah. I'm like, that's how the drugs are for us. You don't know what it's like when we're alone.
right,
You don't know what that drug does for us when we're alone. When everyone says they hate us, that drug says they love us.
yeah, yeah.
And it's
That
the same as that toxic relationship that you were in with that boyfriend that your parents didn't approve of. And she started bawling because she was like, this is the first time I've been able to empathize for my son, because I actually do understand that type of feeling.
yeah, that was a great analogy for you to do that and share that.
Yeah, and that's why it's good to ask those questions, even though they're questions that you don't understand. Maybe somebody can answer them for you and
Hmm.
show you a way to look at them. So now now we'll come back to where we were. You're with this dude, and you're romanticized in the needle for the first time, because now you were smoking with your neighbors on Take It Across the Street. You weren't shooting yet.
No,
Because I feel like for someone to get into shooting, they have to be around somebody who's doing it, that they can help teach them the right way to do it. But also you end up like you said, you fall in love with it. You're like, damn, look at the way he's looking. Look at the way he's getting
yeah,
into it. I want that feeling that he has. I don't get that feeling.
exactly. And like the way the pupils would go, the biggest they ever did, all that stuff. So we'd hang out,
Yeah.
do all this stuff, freaking steal from all the stores, like just all this rush stuff. That's when I would eat a lot of the dope, because that's like a different high too. But then one day, oh my gosh, we would just eat so much. I don't know if you've ever done that, but it you almost are like in a cartoon, and it's so fucked up. But anyway, so one day we went over to one of his buddies' house, and they were shooting it up too. This night was really, really crazy for me. This is the first night I tried it, and the dealer, I was watching him do it, and then my guy, I don't like to say names, but like, so the boyfriend, I had two boyfriends, right? The good rapper guy and the backpack guy. So he left for a little bit, and I was just with his dealer, and I'm like,
That's the name of that chapter, by the way, the backpack guy.
yeah, I know, right? Isn't this cool? Okay, so I said, I want to try it your way this time. Like, and I had already done like 100 milligrams of Adderall today. How many smokes, like how many whatever snorts, and he filled up my needle, and he was pushing it in, and as he's pushing it in, I'm literally like getting higher and higher and higher and higher, and I told him to stop. I'm like, I'm literally gonna die. Like, this is insane. My eyeballs were shaking, and he finally pulled the needle out, and I was like ODing right then and there. I pissed my pants. I couldn't, and it takes a lot of meth for you to for you to get paralyzed, you know. But he raped me there, and then I could, my eyes could look around, but my body couldn't move. And these guys had came into the door, robbed my purse and all my stuff, and then all of a sudden the backpack guy comes back, and it's like, I don't know, it was really weird. Like, the backpack guy would always mess with me and sell my stuff. Like, he was the bad person that I was in love with. Like, he was selling me and stealing my stuff and trading my phones and iPad, you know what I mean? So I think he had this planned. I don't know. Anyways, I think I was high for a week after that. And
I think if anything, he had a crime of opportunity, knowing eventually you would ask to shoot up. I I think because he didn't, like, if he would have been like coming in like, here, Sarah, shoot this.
Yeah.
And like kind of like coerce you into shooting, then I feel like it would be planned. To give you any, I don't want to even take his side, because I'm not, but I'm saying to give you peace of mind of, I don't know if it does or not, but I feel like since you had said, hey, shoot, can you do this and shoot me up? Because I want to feel like you feel, I think it was more of a crime of opportunity,
Yeah.
and not a stage plan, because he had seen you get high before, and I hope he didn't do anything. But like you said, he was not a good person. He was
Yeah.
already stealing your shit anyway, and selling your shit anyway.
Yeah.
So if anything, it was an opportunity for him. Oh, now she's even more high than I've ever seen her. Here's another opportunity for me to do more bad shit, because I'm not a good person.
Yep.
So like, he just wasn't a good person. But like you said, you get attracted to weird and different things, because it's not you that you're not attracted to that. It's the meth that's attracted to that. And plus, that literal attraction is called hybristophilia. It's called the Bonnie and Clyde syndrome. And the technical term is hybristophilia, and it's when you're attracted to somebody because they do illegal or bad shit.
Okay.
But it's so legitimate and real that there's a technical term for it like that.
Yeah.
So, but it's basically based on the Bonnie and Clyde syndrome, is what the like layman's terms is for it, which is even more hilarious, because that's saying that Bonnie was attracted to Clyde for doing bad shit, when really that couple's dynamic is Bonnie was the one that was bad and Clyde was going along for the ride, and Bonnie was the one that was the ringleader of that little gang. And since it was 1933, they couldn't like say the woman's in charge, but Bonnie ran that shit. Bonnie ran that crew. She wanted to be the superstar. That was her crew. So it's really the Clyde and Bonnie syndrome, if you ask me. But to give you any peace of mind, it's called hybristophilia. I wrote a screenplay on it. And that's the only reason I know about that, is because I was obsessed with Bonnie and Clyde. Okay, so Backpack Dude, do you ever see him again after that night?
Oh, yeah.
Okay, his story does not end there.
You mean after the night? Yeah, I was obsessed with him for like the whole next 2 years. So I used needles for the next 2 years, even though it felt like 7 years long, right? Because I'm just stuck in this chaos.
Awake. Yeah.
So I go home to the rapper, and I remember being high for like, I don't even know, 3 days after that. After shooting, I would walk around with a bat, because I was so paranoid from going from window to window. Like, I don't know what the hell, but anyway. And this was the last time that I seen my daughter, who was 4 at the time. Her dad had came over to drop her off for my turn, and I was so high, I just slammed the door in her face. She had her little Dora backpack packed. I'll never forget it. And she was so cute. And I just said, I couldn't take you. I can't take you anymore. And it was so sad. And yeah, anyways, after that, I almost said his name. My rapper boyfriend, he finally kicked me out. He should have kicked me out how long ago. And so I went with the Backpack Dude, and just went from house to house. And, there was so many guys that I liked, and just like that fed my addiction.
I am so glad. I just need to cut you off for a second. I am so glad that you didn't have an ego as a mother, though. There are a lot of people who have that motherhood ego, and where they're like, I don't care how fucking high I am. I'm going to be a mom today, and I'm
Yeah.
going to have my daughter no matter what. And then that daughter is put into some really bad circumstances and situations based off the mother's ego and not being able to believe that she truly is an addict and can't do this. So like I have to just like give you total kudos for that. I know it hurts and I know it sticks in your mind, but please believe that you did what the best thing that you could have done for your daughter at that point in her life.
Yeah, I'm even getting emotional now thinking of it. But so thank you for saying that, because I can just imagine if I would have took her through all those times, the people that would have hurt her and the things she would have seen. Like I've had so much bad stuff happen to me, and she could have got really hurt.
Exactly. Like, you know what had happened to you when you were put into situations where people were around you that were on drugs. And we know other people that are on social media that, have platforms that talk about what happened to them when they were put into situations around people that they shouldn't have been around. So, I think that was a great thing that you did for your daughter. Even though you look back and it makes you emotional, makes you upset, and it's a hard thing to like think that you did that. It's actually the best thing you could have done in the moment, I think, in my personal opinion, as a father.
Yeah.
So yeah, that's awesome. So
Yeah.
please don't beat yourself up too much about that, because that was a good thing. All right. So now you go 2 years with Backpack Dude, and you guys are homeless because Backpack only has a backpack. His name is an apartment guy.
And
Let's be real.
I know, right? And so, but there were like 5 houses in this town that we would keep going to, and sometimes I wouldn't hang out with the backpack guy because I'd be with another guy, and and I just hopped from all of these houses, and I don't even know where to go from here. It just I got crazy, I got paranoid. I would wake up at certain places like swollen.
You're telling me that the meth that you were shooting was making you crazy and paranoid?
And so, yeah, and it's not only that, but I would wake up with swollen down there, like something had happened, obviously. And I knew, I'm like, okay, something's going on. And I would wake up and like these dudes would be around me, or like people would be running out the door. And, and I'd be so out, like they were giving me like heroin and stuff, that, they put my clothes back on and everything. And so that would make me paranoid, because I'd go from house to house with these people that I thought cared for me, and these older men. Oh, we won't hurt you, we won't, I can't believe that's happening there, but it would happen there and there and there. And I got crazy. Who do I trust? Where do I go? But then I wanted drugs so bad, I kept going back, and it would almost erase my memory that was happening, because I wanted the drugs so bad. And
it was like, you're damned if you do and damned if you don't. You're like, well, at least if that happens, at least I'll get mine too.
Yeah. And I mean, I got so crazy. I mean, there were times I'd run out in the snow in Minnesota with no socks on. I got frostbite. I had spiders making eggs in my head. Like, that's how crazy I got. I never thought I would be okay again. I never thought I could be like this, so much jail time and different raids. And gosh, it's really weird it's crazy to think that was me. Like, how could I get so low?
Now, when you say raids, you mean like you were like, because it sounds like you were bouncing trap houses.
Yep.
This episode is sponsored by MJ's Progress Not Perfection Meeting Center Association. We are in our meeting center where we do all these meetings for mental health and addiction. I can do this podcast anywhere. I can do this at home. I can do this in a closet. I can do this in a basement. It doesn't matter. All I need is somebody else to talk to about addiction and recovery. What I can't do from anywhere is help people with their addiction and their mental health problems. So if you can help out, we do have a Venmo, we have a Cash App, we have a PayPal, we have an address you can send a check to, and all the money that gets donated goes towards rent, goes towards keeping the lights on, and goes towards keeping the internet on. So please, if you can give $5, $10, $20, it doesn't matter. Anything you can is so appreciated. And if you are a local business, if you're a national business, whatever, and you want to be a part of what we're doing, you can reach out to me and we can talk about how you can be a sponsor. But I'll let you get back to the episode.
So when you say raids, you mean like you were in the trap houses when the cops would come in and shit like that. Were you getting arrested ever?
Yeah, every time. And so this is the crazy thing. People used to tell me I was crazy that I knew that my phone was tapped, because I hung out with big time dealers. Like, I'm talking so much drugs, so much money. Like, you know, it was crazy, right? And the cops knew that because one of the houses that we went to was like, what do you call it? Like a CI house. You know what I mean? Like they have,
Criminal informant, yeah. He
yeah.
was an
And
informant,
so,
yeah.
yeah. And so they, somehow my phone got tapped and I would be everywhere the raids were and I get arrested every time and then let go. And, it was crazy, man. Like,
It
and
was
people,
like they would keep letting you go so they could follow you to the next one.
yes. And people were like, you're crazy. Like that. But I'm like, this house is going to get raided. I gotta go. I gotta move my shit. And I go and then boom, it got raided. And I was like, this, and that was making me paranoid because I'm like, I'm running and I'm, oh man, dude, that is
I
not.
had a sponsee before tell me that he would always just barely avoid raids because his paranoia would get so bad that he would always get out of there just before the raid would happen because of his But he also is the same sponsee that, you know, he was yelling at his girlfriend about how there's people in his basement, and then she called him out for being high and wanted to send him to rehab because, you know, they're in a trailer. There's no basement, bro. Like you're in a fucking double wide. There's no basement. There's nobody down there. You're going back to rehab. And he's been sober since. So he's got 8 months now.
Oh my gosh.
So, which is good. So what now with does this land you to 25 when you get sober or 24? Like, does
Yeah,
this
I do this for 2 years long, running and scared and getting hurt and guns to my head. And like, I shot up everywhere. I shot up in my forehead, the vein up here, like, and I would be all bruised and like it.
and how bad were you like was your skin then? Because I've never done meth because I've always been so into pills and
Yep.
being a downer. But from what I've heard, if you shoot meth and miss a vein, that's how you get what's the word? I'm blanking. The
Parkinson's
the
or no?
marks, all the marks, like
Oh,
the not track marks, but the like abscesses and shit like that.
so I never got that, but I missed veins all the time. I actually have this. It hasn't flared up for a while, but I missed a big chunk when I went in one of these veins and it went all around. And so every once in a while I have to wear a brace because it's so bad. I never
So
got, I had picks and I have track marks and stuff, but I never got like abscesses or anything.
so the other thing is to have a question is your tattoos. So I've seen a bunch of your tattoos now because of, you know, you've been in that contest we talked about in the beginning. Um, did you get into tattoos then when you got sober in the last 7, 8 years? Okay, so you had nothing until then, or just like one or two small. Yeah, I went to rehab with one tattoo. I came home from rehab with 17, and now I have like 40. So yeah, I mean, that's what happens when you end up becoming friends with somebody who is an artist in AA, and then you hang out in her front yard where she does tattoos during meetings. Like I
That's
was in Venice, LA, in her front yard, and she would be doing tattoos freehand without a stencil. And we would be doing an AA meeting, and with like people would be holding lamps over top of me so she could like see, and it was the fucking best.
so
Yeah.
fun.
Yeah, like and a lot of people are like, "Oh, but that tattoo is not perfect." I'm like, I'd rather have the story because the story to me is perfect, and I don't care about what you think is perfect because to me it's perfect, and
Yeah.
perfection is about what your perception is. So to me, it's perfect because the story behind it is I wasn't in some ratty, seedy, you know, tattoo shop with some weird dude who was watching TV the entire time he was giving me a tattoo. Like it's a personal experience with a friend. So yeah, it's not perfect to you the way it looks, but the story behind it is perfect to me.
I love that.
You
I love
know.
Yeah.
So I'm glad we have the same kind of tattoo appreciation.
Yeah. Yep.
So now that I guess now we lead up to you getting into rehab for the first time. Did you go locally to rehab?
Yeah. Yep. I went locally.
And how did that go? Like,
So
because I know you did some time in jail.
yeah. Yep. So honestly, I have to talk about my time in jail the last time.
Please.
I remember that was the day that I prayed, you know, and then the drug task force came, right? And I was ready. I was ready this time. And I looked at the cops with love for the first time ever, right? I remember getting into the cop car and listening to the country music that I used to hate, but all of a sudden I loved. Like, I'm like, this is weird. I'm feeling really good, you know? And so I go to jail and I wasn't getting raped. I was having a shower. I was eating food. I had a bed to sleep in. Like, I loved that fucking place. I could cry right now. I loved it so much. And I was just like, I finally was thinking about my daughter. You know, I was just ready. And so I remember the county lady came in to talk to me and said that, you know, if I get in trouble one more time, I'm going to go to prison for a while. And so she said you should really go to treatment. And so I think it was like a court ordered thing, but I was ready, you know. And so when I got out of jail, my mom picked me up. She was so proud of me. We hadn't talked for a long time. And she made me stay at her house for a week so that, because they didn't have a bed open for me yet. So she watched me like a hawk, made me go to meetings every night for the week. And then that's when I went to treatment. And
That's awesome.
I was so happy to be there. Like you said, you were taking it all in, you were ready, and oh my gosh, I love it.
And the people that work at treatment, they know the ones like us that come in willingly, that want to be there. That, you know, I think I was a like house manager for 3 of the 4 weeks that I was there, because nobody else was even volunteering for it, and I enjoyed it. I enjoyed making sure that I was at IOP every day. Like, I enjoyed just being there. I was exhausted, and I'm sure you were too.
Mm-hmm.
And the thing is when you're so exhausted and now you're in this free state of mind, you know, we can leave rehab at any time. Like, people that never been to rehab don't realize this. They don't lock the doors in most rehabs. And they tell you that the first day that you're there. At least in my rehab, they told us the doors are not locked. You are welcome to leave at any time. If you just take your shit and go. But, you know, do not make this harder for somebody else because you don't want to be here. You can leave. We don't care if you want to go, just go. So, you know, when we come in and we want to be there, they notice that and they gravitate. You know, I remember at one point somebody was like new there and they thought I worked there, you know, and they're like, oh, you work here. I'm like, no, I live here like you, honey.
That's how ready you were, you know, like,
yeah,
that's so cool.
So I know what you mean, though.
What a compliment to you that was that day, you know?
Well, the funniest thing is that the person that works there had a year clean, and he was sitting right next to me, and she was closer to him and asked me and thought he lived there, and and thought and I was like, sorry about that, Matt, because like Matt's like, he's a rail, he's like 100 pounds soaking wet, you know, this dude, but he has a year clean. And he works there with a year clean, and they thought I was the one that worked there just because I'm the one that's like heavier set, and he's the one that's skin and bones. So they just assumed that I must be the one that has some more time to work there. Funny. So yeah, it was so funny. But yeah, I was just like, no, I only have like 25 days sober. And like, oh, but you're always in the nurse's station. I'm like, I don't know, I'm friendly with the nurse. I don't know. like having conversations. So, rehab was good for you. You said meetings. Did you stick with meetings when you got home from rehab as well?
No. You know what? I love if you guys go to meetings. I love it so much. Do what you need to do for your recovery. But for me, it just didn't work very well. I seen a lot of my old connections there, and just, I don't know. We'll just.
No, I think meetings are good, and sometimes they can be not beneficial also. Yep. Especially when you're in your old area, like you just said. Like I literally just made a meme about this the other day where it's like George Costanza like doing like a double take of like of when like you see somebody like that you used to get high with in your home group, and you're just like, because like I don't know how I feel about that. And I never had to do that because I always went to meetings in Los Angeles where I didn't know anybody that I got high with, or in Central PA where I didn't get high with anybody. I got high always in Jersey, or Massachusetts. So like everybody that I got high with, no one's around me.
Yeah, because when you go to a meeting and you're freshly sober and you see those people, it's almost triggering. You're not, it's not okay.
Yeah, but you do meetings in different ways though, because we'll get into this. When did you start like really talking about things on social media the way that you do?
So, okay, so let me think here. I met this guy that I'm still with now. We've been together to be 7 years.
You met a guy? You met a guy?
Is this funny or what? I keep saying I met a guy. You guys, I'm telling you, so many guys. There's like hundreds. Anyways, but we're in love and we're the one that has a family together. Anyway, so I moved in with him like right after right after treatment.
That's not textbook, Sarah.
Yeah.
Just to move right in.
I did, and my counselor said, "Don't do that," and I said, "He's the one," and he is, because here we are.
No, this time you were right, but you were wrong plenty.
All those times I was so wrong. This is the one, and so, anyways, so we're starting our family. I got my daughter back, and I went on Facebook, because when you're an addict, I didn't anyway. I didn't go on social media, and I started hearing people talking about Lime Life, and that's my business it's a network marketing business. And I wanted friends and I wanted confidence, because I was doing the mom thing and sober, but I needed something for me. And so I joined that. And I've been doing that 4 years now. I've hit the top of the company. But anyways, when I joined, that's when, we had these challenges, like share who you are to get your, because people buy your products and join your team for who you are. And so that's when I started. I remember telling my first live video, sharing my story. It went viral. I almost puked. I was so scared, shaking, but it was the most exhilarating, powerful thing ever. Yeah.
Now, so what platform was it on the first time you went viral, and what does viral mean for you? Because I mean, viral means something different. Like getting 1,000 views is somebody's going viral when they're getting like 1 or 2 hits on some of their stuff. So what is viral to you, and what app were you using that you went like?
So this was Facebook. It was a
okay.
Facebook Live, and it got 10K views, and I was like,
Shit.
That's like, so many people were sharing it, because they never seen me for how long. Like, so many people loved who I was as a child in middle school. I broke a lot of hearts when they saw who I was becoming. Like people that loved me and was like, oh, poor Sarah, like look what she's doing, and so when they saw me getting on social media again, they're like, oh my gosh, like that's Sarah now, she's better. And it got a lot of attention,
Yeah, but it's good attention.
Mm-hmm.
It's definitely good attention.
Yeah.
To where, at first you're like, oh my God, what are they all going to think? Oh my God, I don't want 10,000 people to see me talk. And then all of a sudden it's like, oh, I feel good about this now. This is okay.
Yeah, it was awesome.
When did you start? And that's when you started talking about your recovery, was then?
Yeah.
And that was what, 4 years ago then? So 2018?
Yep, 4 years ago when I first started with Lime Life.
So how much did that change when like quarantine hit for you? How has that been for you since that, like being a creator? Because I feel like there's a lot more tools at creators' disposals now that like COVID hit.
So honestly, the year COVID happened, I was on a trip in Mexico. Okay, I went to Mexico. I earned a trip for my company for kicking ass, right? A free trip. I went to Mexico and I came back and shit hit the fan. I was like, what the fuck? But that was the month that my team promoted to executive levels. So it honestly, like it hasn't really affected me that much,
Okay, that's awesome.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, how should I say this? Because I know there's a lot more like that we can do like as creators on social media because of COVID. So have you seen like basically more interaction now on social media in the last couple of years than from before in the first few years is what I mean?
Definitely.
Okay.
I definitely do, yeah.
Okay. And so what exactly what is Lime Life again? Can you explain that?
Yep.
Did I say that right? Lime Life or Limelight?
Yep, it's Lime Life. It's actually Lime Life by Alcone. So it's professional makeup and skincare, all natural skincare. It was actually founded in the 50s and was only available to celebrities and famous people in makeup, like famous people, until about 6 years ago. My CEO wanted to reward everyday women like me and her, and pay us for sharing these products and financial freedom and things like that. And so, yeah, that's
awesome. And so you get to like have fun and make content all the time.
Yeah, that's my job, is literally going on a live video, putting on some makeup and like, it's such a confidence builder. It's crazy. It's so wild. It's so fun.
And so with your, and because like you can work from home, and then plus you have 6 kids. So how many did you have? You've had 2 since getting sober, or 3 since getting sober?
2.
2.
Yep.
Okay, because I figured the 5 and 2-year-old, right? That's what you said, 2 and 5.
Yeah.
Okay, and then did you say a 9-year-old was in there too?
Nope.
13
and 12.
Okay, but so he had a kid 12 years, right around the same time you had your daughter.
Yep.
And okay, cool. So that's awesome though. You have a little like Brady Bunch little family going on there.
Yeah, it's super cool. When I found Lime Life, I did have a regular job, where I had to leave all the time, and I didn't really like that because I was just getting my life back together. I just wanted to stay home. Like I wanted to be free, like actually free. And so I started this company, and I was able to quit my job not long after, and I've never went back. I've been home with these kids every day, all day, and doing what we want. So
that's awesome. And now you're hopefully maybe working towards getting on the cover of Inked.
Yeah.
So we'll don't forget, people, go into the link in the description, and even if you've already voted, you can vote again every single day. You can go on there and vote. I think 1 vote per email per day is the thing that you can do, or is it 10 votes a day?
So you can do 1 free vote every single day. Okay.
1 free vote. Yeah.
They do have paid for votes. They have these days where it's like 2 for 1, where you spend $10 and it equals 20 votes. But free votes every day. I love it. All the comments and the shares will help me. So.
Yep. Just go in the description and vote away.
Yeah.
So,
I want to share one thing of why I want to. I really would love to win that for a down payment for my house. We've been renting all our life. Well, I mean, I shouldn't say all our life. I've been homeless all my life, but I want to show the world like what you can do. You can go from the streets and homeless and using to recreating your life and getting on a cover of a magazine. You know?
And you got the perfect hair for it now. Your hair definitely reminds me of, what's that Jim Carrey movie?
The Grinch.
What?
No. The Grinch. I'm the Grinch's wife, okay?
No, I was thinking no, of the other one that's more serious, of Clementine, of when his girlfriend kept changing her hair. Oh my God, right now somebody's listening or watching and yelling at the screen because they know the name of it. But it's the one when he gets his mind erased, because the whole premise of the movie is that you have a bad relationship, and that you go into this place and they put this device on your head and it erases all memories from your previous relationship, so you're not haunted by this person.
Oh my gosh.
And then he kept going out and meeting that person over again with his memory erased, and they would have all these relationships over and over again.
I need to see that.
Why am I blank? This is like, I feel like it was like the poster on every single like college room like fucking door, and the girl from Titanic is the main. Eternal Sunshine of the Spotless Mind. I'm so mad at myself.
Okay, and you said it was Jim Carrey, because I love him.
It's serious Jim Carrey, so it's even better. It's serious broken heart Jim Carrey. Kate Winslet plays the love interest. It's on like Hulu or Amazon or Netflix. It's on somewhere right now. My wife and I just watched it a couple weeks ago.
Okay.
Because she had never seen it, and even who's the dude from Lord of the Rings, the main character dude.
I can see him, but I can't think.
But he's in it too, though. He's in it too. Like the movie is so. Mark Ruffalo is in it. Yeah, it's a great movie. Definitely check it out. Eternal Sunshine. Oh, I hate when I can't think of a name that it's on. Like. But I feel like someone punches me in the face whenever I find out the answer, because like it's so obvious to me. And oh my God. But thank you again, Sarah, for coming on, being so open, and talking about your story, because I know it's not the easy to talk about, especially living what you had to live through, especially in those houses and bouncing around and waking up to being confused and not knowing what happened. Like, but there's also a lot of women that I know personally and that I don't know that listen to the show that I'm sure can relate to what you've been through and can feel less alone Because from what I've been told by those women that I am friends with, when you do wake up and you feel that confused and look around and you know that something's happened like that, you don't feel anger towards those people. You feel shame towards yourself.
Yeah.
And you feel guilt, as in, how could I let myself get in this situation? And you don't blame the people that did it. You make yourself the bad person, because that's what we do as people that are empaths. We just blame ourselves and don't give anyone any shit. And those people now can feel less alone, knowing that they could been through what you've been through too.
Yeah, and I want to thank you for having me and doing this, because now I'm gonna smile bigger today and just be in this most grateful spirit because of reliving this and just remembering, like, wow, like, life is really beautiful. Life in recovery is possible and beautiful, and I just love this and what you're doing. You're so special to be doing this.
It sure is. Thank you so much for saying that. Yeah, I got 2 years on the 29th this month. It doesn't exist. There's no 29th in February, but that's, since I got sober on a leap year.
Yeah, that's insane.
So my wife and I's sober anniversary is now Tuesday. That doesn't exist, of February 29th.
I love it.
But yeah, thank you so much again, Sarah. And all the links will be in the description. If you're watching or listening, just go down below.